Hello, everyone. Welcome to the startup program, New Materials and Circularity Ask Me Anything session. I see people still joining, so we're just going to let everyone join. And while they join, I'll just introduce. So thank you for joining this session. We're going to answer all your questions related to the program. I'm just going to quickly go through some housekeeping rules. You can type your questions in the Q&A section. You have a questions tab on your lower right corner, and you can share any other comments or feedback in the chat. And the video recording of the session and the slides will be available to you later, so do not worry about it. But let me very, very quickly introduce my beautiful team here. So I'm Divya. No, my name's not Hello. I'm just joined through the company account. But that would be cool. Hello, meet hello. But I'm Divya. Lois. We have Juan, and we have Augustin. Augustine, sorry. We pronounce it in the French way. He's our startup alumni, and he's the CEO and co-founder for Mycorium Biotech. Very quickly about Mycorium Biotech. They are. Do you want to speak a sentence about Augustin, about Mycorium Biotech?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm Agustin Schiavio, CEO and co-founder of Mycorium Biotech. We are a startup that is upcycling waste and transforming it into bioleather.
All right, thank you so much. Lois?
Yes, so we can get started on the meat of today's topic. So before we get into the specifics of the startup program, I do want to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about Hello Tomorrow in case you're not yet familiar and this is the first time you're hearing about us. So Hello Tomorrow is an organization that is dedicated to promoting deep tech, and the goal behind that is really to address global problems. And we do that in many ways, but the essence of our mission is to support entrepreneurs that are building all these innovations and really facilitate the connections between them and key stakeholders like investors, corporates, and many more. So we have a combination of complementary activities that we've been developing over the last 10 years. And this includes organizing events, startup competitions, building communities of investors and startups, providing strategy and innovation consulting, and as you might know, developing thematic startup programs. And that's what we'll be talking about today. So this is just a few numbers from our programs that we've already done. So as I mentioned, we've been working in the field of deep tech for the last 10 years, helping startups. And last year, we decided to initiate thematic startup programs at Hello Tomorrow. So that means that we've successfully completed 2 programs. The first one was focused on advanced materials, and the second one on industrial biotech. And we're really happy because we were able to help a total of 28 startups through these programs so far, and successfully facilitated as well hundreds of connections between them and investors and corporates. So now a little bit more into the current program that we have. I'll pass it on to my colleague Juan to tell you more.
Thank you, Luis. Yes, so as Luis has mentioned, we have been working on this startup programs for a while now, and this is the next program that we're going to be launching, and the one that we are accepting applications for right now is the one on advanced materials and circularity. What we propose basically with this program is going to be a very tailor-made approach and a very customized to each of the necessities of each startup. So we don't offer a generalistic program based on things that you would find, I don't know, on a YouTube video or something, but something that would be very valuable for you and that you would take the time to basically to join a program like this. And Agustin later can tell us a bit about like why did he decided to join the program and if he actually took away something from it. Because Agustin was so, I don't know if we recall if we introduced him correctly, but he was one of the startups that joined our past program that was on industrial biotech. So we want him like to discuss a bit about how that was for him on the last cohort. So basically, what we have, it's we try to summarize this in three big pillars that we call. So we'll have technical expertise, business guidance, and key connections with investors and corporates. This is like the overarching subjects of the program, and we deliver this through this five modules. So first, and something that we, maybe it's not here on the slide, but what we do put most emphasis into is to assign a mentor that makes sense to what you're looking for. So if your basic need or your most pressing issue right now is to raise your next fund, or maybe it's to develop a POC with a corporate, or is accessing a new market, then you will be the one, we will find the correct mentor for you to help you through this process. So that's what we say when we mean when we say it's a very tailor-made approach, because the idea is to debrief with you, find out what is it that you're lacking at this moment, what is it that you need the most help, and that's where we focus. Besides that, besides having a very highly specific mentorship, we do help you with customized one-on-one sessions. So we have different modules that we're gonna see later, and then you have access to all the mentors from those modules on one-on-one sessions to follow up with them, specific on the topics that you have. So you can basically pick and choose all the topics that we have. It's kind of general weekly sessions that we have, but then you can follow up specifically on your case. Then we have potential POCs and with corporate partners. So the partners that are part of our program, and you can check up on our website all the corporates that are going to be participating for this program. So we have Size Redbox, which is an advanced materials company in Italy. We have Solvay, we have L'Oreal, we have you can check on our website. Basically, since it's going to be the launch, it's going to be in the summit, we're going to have all the corporates participating there, also coming to our kickoff event. And with them, we're going to have foster specific matchmaking sessions, basically based also on your specific needs. So I already mentioned the kickoff is going to be at the Global Summit, 21st of March. We're going to have our own specific event for that, and we're going to invite all the people that are in the Global Summit to join us for the kickoff of this event. Then the demo day is going to be in Paris again in June afterwards. For the modules, so again, this is a general approach that we do. But the most important part of this is that you will have the training module with the rest of the cohort, and then you're going to be able to book one-on-one with each of these trainers. So we're going to work on fundraising and guidance. So work with you, no matter what stage you are in, how to negotiate with investors, how to prepare your strategy to raise for funding, everything from negotiating a cap table. So that's everything that we're going to cover, again, on a general session. And then this pool of investors is going to sit with you on one-on-one and work on your specific funding strategy. Then, of course, like business strategy, to help you a bit on that if you're struggling to finding your go-to-market approach, or the specific strategy of how to bring your product to market. We can work on that as well. And again, one-on-one and a general session. Scaling materials production. So one of our partners, Size Redbox, they have a big manufacturer in Italy, and the idea is that we're going to have a session with them also to see on the one thing that we have. It's very common that scaling up is one of the biggest pain points for material startups. So we're adapting to that as well. We're going to see some policies, regulations, mostly in different areas of the world, with an emphasis in Europe. Prototyping and product development. So we are partnering also with Frog, which is a company developed basically with a big laboratory here in Paris to help for prototyping. So we're going to be having a session with them. The intellectual property and patents. If you're not sure what you have is patentable or where to go there with what the technology we have, so we're going to have a session just on that, and then again a one-on-one with our patent and partner patent company. They're a company that have been working with us for the past cohorts, and that they're specifically dedicated to deep tech startups. And finally, we're going to have a session to make sure that pitch that you have and the storytelling, everything that you're telling, it's very custom made, because when we talk about pitching, it's very often that we try to sum it up in, okay, I have ready my, I don't know, my 1 minute pitch, 3 minute pitch, or 10-minute pitch. But what's most important is who are you pitching to? It's not the same to have a discussion with an investor and you have 1 minute and you have to focus on some things that this person needs to understand, that if you're pitching on a demo day. So you're gonna talk differently, give different examples, start with a different approach. So that's what we need to cover, and to make sure that you make the most out of the demo day that we have, but also of the matchmaking sessions that we're gonna set up for you. So I'll hand it over to Luis so she can tell us a bit about which startups will be eligible to apply.
Yes, thank you, Juan. Yes, so after seeing all that, I hope you're convinced, and obviously we'll share more feedback or answer your questions at the end. But so who can apply? I think most of the people here might already have seen it on the website, but we'll give you a quick recap. So it's essentially material startups. So anyone that's producing, advanced materials, new materials that are contributing to circularity in the value chain, and with the goal of obviously helping society, industries to move forward and improve the current processes. So for us, it's really any kind of sustainable materials or a new way of using the resources, so that we can have, more longevity. We have more eco design, for instance. We also accept startups that are working on how to, process at end of life, by recycling or doing some biodegradation, and any way to valorize waste. Inclusive in this space, we're also accepting any startup working on high performance materials or coatings, anything really that is creating coatings or materials that are less toxic or that are using renewable properties. So really it's quite broad, I would say, and especially because we're not really looking at specific industries where you want to apply it. So if you're working in the aerospace industry, or if you want to target healthcare, this is really open to you. Or you might be like a broader technology that can address any industry, then this is also a good program for you. And we do try to seek out different partners that are relevant in each of those spaces. So yeah, happy to share more later if you have questions on that. But I think the next slide is for,
Right. So we have Augustin. I'm making that mistake again. It's Agustin.
Agustin.
Yeah. He will be sharing his experiences with the program. How did he decide to apply? Things he liked, the kind of notes he took. And I'll concede the floor to Agustin.
Yeah, sure. Well, a friend of mine that we share investors suggested me to participate in this program. So we applied and we got into the program. And I'm going to share you screen to show you how we take profit from the program. Well, the way we maximize the use of the program was as the following. There were plenty of workshops. We assigned an owner for every workshop. For example, here in the intellectual property, the owner was our CSO. The CSO would join that workshop and take notes. Although anyone else could also join. After that, we scheduled the one-on-one meetings for 2-3 weeks later to give us some time to work on the questions. And also, we would also send a one-pager about the startup to the other person to save some time. And during those 2-3 weeks, we quickly reviewed the workshop, the notes, and note down all the questions that came out. And after that, when we had the call, we asked all the questions to the other person. Here it was, I think with, well, I can't remember with whom it was this session, but that was the way we take profit from this program.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Agustin, can you tell us a bit like what is it that the most that you got out of the program? Did you meet relevant people? How's the micro afterwards?
Yeah, I think that first of all, the workshops were, I think that very helpful because they gave us like a foundation of everything: IP, market, business, and strategy, pitch training. Then in the one-on-one, we could dive deeper in those workshops. And also I think that the mentorship was very important because it saved us a lot of time, because our mentor, it was a mentor from the USA. It was CEO and co-founder of a startup in the biomaterial industry in the USA. So it gave us lots of insights. I think that the mentorship was one of the most important things, and we also connected with other companies in the final event, with other companies, with other corporates there in Paris. I think that one of them was Ginkgo Bioworks from the USA. We are currently talking with them, and hopefully we will be working with them with the SynBio strategy on what we are doing.
Awesome, that's great news. Thank you, Agustin.
You're welcome.
Right.
Perfect. So yeah, just wanted to do a quick recap after everything that you've heard to remind you of the full package. So it is a 3-month program starting in March up to early June. And the key things that we really emphasize on is having the right meetings for you, the right connections, whether that's with industry leaders, with investors, and making it so that it's customized and it's on a one-to-one basis. As Agustin mentioned, there's these master classes, workshops that are led by experts, and he gave a great example of how to really take the most out of those sessions, making sure that it doesn't, stay just with the one person attending, but shared between the team, and really taking value by meeting with the experts afterwards. Obviously, also the one-to-one mentorship that we mentioned. So as Agustina mentioned, there's one mentor that you're assigned based on your needs. And with them, you can bounce ideas. You can really get into the nitty-gritty of the difficulties that you're experiencing as a startup. And of course, there's all the really exclusive events that we host for the startups in the cohort. And that would be with the kickoff at the Global Summit. It also gives you access to our Investor Day, which is happening just the day before on March 20th. And there, it's a really great moment to meet one-to-one with investors, have that first touch point, and then obviously follow through up until the end of the program. And then obviously the demo day at the end. So yeah, and you have the cost of participation there. It is a hybrid format, so it means that for most of it, it will be online, except for the in-person events, which ideally you would all be able to attend if you're selected. If not, obviously we can find alternative solutions, but yeah, that's it.
Right. So just to go over the overall timeline of the event, we are currently accepting applications. So until February 26th, when the applications close. February 29th is when we announce our selected participants, and then you will be able to participate in the kickoff on March 21st and actually have access to the Investor Day, which happens on March 20th. So you will be very welcome to the Global Summit. And then we will have the program from March 21st to June 13th. June 13th, which is when we will be welcoming you back to Paris for a demo day session with us here in our headquarters. And that is it. That will be how the program looks in terms of the timeline. Any questions you have for the team or for the alum that we have, which is Agustin here, please feel free to put up your questions in the chat or in the questions
Thank you, Divya. Just something before we jump into the questions that you rapidly mentioned about the investor day. This is something that it's going to be special for this cohort because it's going to align with the global summit, and I'll let Luis give you more details on this investor day because she has participated in several of them. But I just want to say that a year ago when we had our advanced materials first cohort, they mentioned that this was one of the events that bring the most value of them to them. One, at least 3 startups got funding from this event, and one was had got funding from IndieBio, and they're now participating in that cohort. So I think it's something that it's to discuss a bit more about. Maybe Luis can give more information about this day.
But we. Because I also saw that Andre has a question about the Investor Day. So yes, Investor Day, it's happening on March 20th, like we mentioned, and it's a full day. It's B2B, like one-to-one meetings between startups that are invited and investors that are invited. We have about 150 investors that are attending. And so essentially, they're there to meet with deep tech startups, and they really understand the difficulty, the challenges that deep tech startups are facing. So this is a perfect place. If you haven't met the right investors in deep tech, it's really the good place to be. And it's quite organized. So essentially we'll have an app that you can access about a couple of weeks before the event, where you see all the investors that are attending. You contact them, you request meetings and book them ahead of the day, so that on the day off, you just have your back-to-back meetings throughout. Outside of the actual meetings, there's also, a breakfast, lunch, and an evening cocktail where you can also casually interact with investors, because we also find that it's not just through the one-to-one meetings. It's actually one of those, spontaneous chats that you also have around, a glass of wine if you're in Paris, or coffee if you're at breakfast. But yeah, that's more or less how it works. And it's really a day just for startups and investors to meet with each other. And then maybe since I'm on that, then the Global Summit is different in the sense that it's a larger event. So with the Global Summit, we have about 3,000 people attending over 2 days, and the audience is broader. So we'll have startups, investors, but also, industry leaders. So that'd be corporates, it could be accelerators, incubators, universities, public institutions, etc. We'll also have content on stages, of course. So if you want to, see what some leading scientists are talking about in the field, or talk more about practical things like how to fundraise or how to work with corporates. Those are the kind of content we have. We also have startups pitching. So from our global challenge, this is the competition we organize. Outside of that, there's obviously a lot of spaces for networking, to talk with the different stakeholders that are attending. So that's a bit about those events, and yeah, we can jump into more questions if there are.
So there's another question in the chat that says, for the demo day, it sounds like an in-person event only. Juan, do you want to take that up? Is it just going to be in person, or can there be some exceptions?
Sure. So we have 2 dates that we encourage startups to come in person, and would be the kickoff and the demo day. If you have to choose one, I would choose the kickoff, since it's aligned with the Global Summit, and it's what we've been discussing about the Investor Day and the 2 days of the Global Summit. So, so that would be the idea, to come to both in person. If you can't, it's not something that is obligatory. These sessions we record them, the demo days and the kickoff. It's basically what Luis was discussing, like to have people in person, and the investors and the corporates. It's actually really useful to be there and have those discussions, but it's something that is not obligatory for attending the program.
Yeah, and indeed, since it's hybrid, a lot of the connections we facilitate are also done online. So if you don't make it to the demo day at the end, but you're interested in speaking with this investor that was part of the program, or corporates, we of course can facilitate that throughout the process. So no problem.
Right. There is another question that I would like to throw to you, Juan. It's from Habib Tarfan. He asks, can you give some examples of collaborations and sizes of startups?
Okay, by collaborations, I'm understanding maybe with companies. Let
I'm
me know if
guessing that.
that's the case of it. But yeah, basically, so an example is, for instance, what Agustin just mentioned, that they're not collaborating with Ginkgo Bioworks, and maybe let you give us a bit more intel on that one. But other collaborations basically for procurement and developing POCs with companies. So we have another startup that it's starting to test their material with L'Oreal. They were aiming at going to the pharma industry, but through a program we identified that maybe the first step would be to test this in a less regulated market like the cosmetic industry. So we have fostered this introduction, and they're now working into testing the materials then. So with this kind of collaboration, maybe Agustin, can you tell us a bit what you're doing with Ginkgo Bioworks, or what's the idea?
Yeah, we have one of our core technologies. It's with the synthetic biology of the fungi. We are manipulating the genetics of the fungi so that, for example, it can grow faster. One alternative to our strategy that we are developing is associating with Ginkgo Bioworks to so that they can provide us the service of encapsulating and screening. I think it's like an alternative to our core technology so that we can mitigate the risks of our core technology. We're having, I don't know if initial conversation, but more advanced conversations, and maybe we will move forward. I think that in another stage, not in the current stage. We are in a pre-seed stage. We are raising our seed round now, so maybe by the end of our seed round, we will be moving forward with them.
Thank you for that, Augustine.
Sorry,
We're
there was
ready.
a second
Yeah,
part to that question regarding the size of the startup. So
size of startups.
we would say like early stage startups up to Series A, we would be providing the most value. It's still a bit broad, but since our program is very custom made, I think any of the startups that in this stages will draw value from this. It's if you're more onto the earlier part, we have this business strategy approach, go to market that will help you. And if you're a bit more advanced, more reaching it up to Series A, you have all this possible collaborations that you can start doing right away with corporates. And we foster those introductions. Again, you will be raising funds no matter what of this stage, so everything would be valuable. And again, we choose the mentor specifically for the pain point that you're having right now. So it's very custom made, and the one-on-ones that you were going to have with all our mentors are going to be based on your specific needs. So since it's a very high custom made program, we believe it's for either like pre-seed, seed up to Series A. And that brings me to a question that I'm seeing on the chat about the unique aspects of this. And I would say first is this, what we're discussing, right? A very, very custom-made approach. So it's not like an Circularity, we just have modules, but we try to solve a specific, what is it that you're facing? And we draw the whole team that we have in Hello Tomorrow to help you with that. We've been around for 10 years, just focused on deep tech. And we have leveraged a vast network on this. So we have one of the biggest network of investors just for deep tech. And then you will sit with the investors that are just specifically of your niche, of your industry. And we have a vast network of corporates as well that we will help you access to that. So it's not just that's why we don't even call it an acceleration program, incubation program. We don't have a name for that because it's a very custom-made program that will help you work on anything that's your how you say in French, like the piège, your what is it that your biggest pain point at the moment, and we solve it together, and which are the relationships that we're going to help you foster that development that you need at this point.
With moving on to the other question that we have. Thank you for that, Juan. Can you give more details about the expected content of demo? Is it describing the current development stage of your tech? Is it okay if I take this one?
Please, Divya.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So demo day, Augustin can pitch in after how the demo day was for him, but how we define it is you have two sets of pitches that go on. There are 3-minute quick pitches. The entire cohort is divided into 2 sections. We have a few talks from our side with our expert partners. So it could be on the topic, for example, that is related to the current cohort. So that would be new materials and circularity. We have a talk on funding, and we have 2 separate 3-minute pitches, and the investors are in the room. So that is your time to shine about the whole and showcase what you've learned from the pitching module that we talked about earlier. Is there anything that I'm missing, Augustine, that you felt like you enjoyed during the demo day?
No, I think it was a very good moment to gain feedback. At that moment, in November, we were preparing materials for our fundraising. We recently launched our seed round, and that was I think it was a very good moment to test the pitch among investors and other corporates that were there.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I also heard from other startups attending, so we made it on purpose to have, a lot of coffee breaks in between, not only because, most people don't want to sit in like just listening to content. It's always helpful to do a coffee break, and also that engages you to talk with other people, to hopefully spark more connections and conversations between the different attendees. So yeah, again, all about the networking part.
Yeah, and sorry, to add something, it's
Yeah, go
also
ahead.
very important to connect with the rest of the startups of the cohort. That was also very, very useful.
Yeah, I think we still have a WhatsApp chat today that is active to share like relevant opportunities, if any.
Right. So I think the connections that you make here are very important, which is why we recommend that if you can attend just one event, like Juan already highlighted, we'd recommend you to join the kickoff, because you will have a conversation with all your fellow cohort before the program even starts. So it will just set you up for a better to get a better productive time out of the entire program. Any other questions? We're still waiting in the chat or in the question section. Anything you'd like to ask? Do not hesitate. We're here to answer all your questions.
Anyway, you can always reach out to us if you have any further questions. We have everything on our website. And then just to do a quick recap, applications are closing February 26th, so pretty soon, I would say next week. And then we're gonna rush into the selection of the startups. We're like evaluating them as they come, because we know it's tight for you to book your trip to the global summit, which is going to be March 21st. And remember, demo day the day before March 20th. So I think we do have some questions coming up. I know, yeah, it's us. So yeah, that's the calendar link for booking a meeting with us if you want to discuss this further, any particular questions or doubts that you have, and that's the link for applying now. Is it possible to see a full list of investors and corporates to determine if our industry is well represented? Yes, we do have a list of investors, right, Luis? Do we have a database? Can you please let us know?
We can share with you a list of past participants of Investor Day, the Global Summit, to see if there's interesting parties there, which I'm sure you will find. We'll send that to you to you, David, or to others, whoever's interested. You can comment on that in the chat. We can reshare with you. No problem.
But we do have like a public database of
Oh yes, this as well. Yeah, we do. It's true. So we also have an investor mapping. So that I can maybe put in the chat already now. Give me 1 second. So we have an investor mapping. It has over, I think, 1,500 investors now. They're not all in our network, to be clear. But obviously, that's a mapping that we've made available to all startups who are looking for investors. So you can peruse through. There's a column, which is, I believe, column B, yes, where you can see who are in our network. So yeah, that's just to give you an idea. I think there's over 700 now in our network.
And this is basically, so we have tons of corporates that you can check on the website that are coming to the Global Summit. Those are corporates that we can, of course, foster connection with. But, and of course, like the investors that Luis is mentioning, if anyone of this is not on our corporate list or on an investor list, and you're willing to have an introduction to, we have a good name outside on this industry. So if you need any connection, we'll be happy to foster it for you, of course.
Okay.
I think that's it. So again, thank you very much for joining. Please reach out and please apply before we close.
Thank you, everyone, and hope to speak to you soon.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Agustin, for joining us. It is always a pleasure to have a conversation with all cohorts. And yeah, hope to see your files on our application site.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. See you in Paris, Andre.